uncertainty. I am Samuela Inchi. Let's settle in for the details. Investor interest in Ghana's Treasury bills surged during the recent auction, with demand exceeding government expectations. The government successfully raised 8.9 billion Ghana cedis, surpassing its 6.3 billion Ghana cedis target by a significant 39.95% oversubscription rate. Tessa Capital brings us more.
Welcome to a recap of the markets, brought to you by Tessa Capital Limited. Investor demand for Treasury bills increased in the recent auction as compared to the previous week. The government raised 8.9 billion cedis, exceeding its 6.3 billion cedis target, representing a 39.95% oversubscription rate. During Friday's auction, all bids for the 91-day, 182-day, and 364-day Treasury bills were fully accepted. Yields increased for all tenors, with the 91-day Treasury bill increasing by 8 basis points to 28.42%. The 182-day Treasury bill rose by 1 basis point to 28.97%, and the 364-day Treasury bill increased by 11 basis points to 30.29%. Trading volumes on the Ghana fixed income market marginally depreciated by 0.2% over the week, reaching 3.5 billion cedis. Treasury bills dominated the market, accounting for 65.96% of the total volume. Sell buyback trades made up 19.25%. New Government of Ghana notes and bonds contributed 14.77%, and corporate bonds made up 0.01%. The Ghanaian cedi depreciated against major currencies in the currency market. It depreciated against the US dollar by 1.34%, ending the week at 14 cedis 95 pesos per dollar. It also depreciated by 1.35% against the British pound, closing the week at 18 cedis 23 pesos. The cedi also depreciated against the euro by 2.04% to settle at 15 cedis 39 pesos at the end of the week. All this is based on Bank of Ghana's interbank mid-rates. Indicative rates from the open market showed the cedi closing at 14 cedis 98 pesos per dollar, 18 cedis 23 pesos per pound, and 15 cedis 9 pesos per euro. During the review period, the GSE Composite Index increased by 7.6%. This rise was driven by gains in the share prices of Scancom PLC, which is MTN Ghana, GOIL, Cal Bank, New Gold, Total Petroleum, and GCB. MTN increased by 5.58% to close at 2 cedis 60 pesos per share. GOIL increased by 3.29% to close at 1 cedi 57 pesos. Cal increased by 2.70% to close at 38 pesos per share. New Gold increased by 1.64% to close at 408 cedis 99 pesos. Total increased by 1.45% to close at 13 cedis 31 pesos. And GCB increased by 0.63% to close at 6 cedis 41 pesos per share. The GSE Composite Index closed the week at 5,057.20 points, reflecting a year-to-date return of 3.45%. Market activity, as indicated by volumes traded, increased significantly by 822.03% to 4,308,065 shares, with a total value of 13.8 million cedis. We expect that financial stocks and the ICT sector will play pivotal roles in the index's performance in the coming week. This brings our review to an end, and from all of us at Tessa Capital, make it a great day. Visit us online at tessacapital.com or call us on 050-154-6859 for more information. Tessa Capital, grow your wealth.
You just heard from Tessa Capital. On the international scene, Melania Trump, the incoming First Lady, has introduced a cryptocurrency named Melania Dollar ahead of her husband Donald Trump's inauguration as the next U.S. president. The launch follows the debut of Trump Dollar, a cryptocurrency announced by the president-elect just a day earlier. Both digital assets have experienced significant but volatile trading activity since their releases. Melania Dollar, described as a crypto asset tracked on the Solana blockchain, was announced via social media. Disclaimers for both Trump Dollar and Melania Dollar cryptocurrencies highlight that they are not intended to serve as investment or securities. Bitcoin has surged in response to Trump's victory, reaching a record high of $140,000, according to Coinbase. Other cryptocurrencies, including Dogecoin, have also seen significant gains, partly driven by the enthusiasm of high-profile Trump supporters. The launch of these cryptocurrencies coincides with efforts by the incoming administration to promote digital and blockchain technologies. On Friday, David Sachs, the incoming AI and crypto policy leader, hosted a crypto ball in Washington, D.C., underscoring the administration's focus on this sector. This contrasts with the approach under the Biden administration, which took a stricter regulatory stance on crypto markets, citing concerns about fraud and money laundering, and pursued legal actions against some crypto exchanges. The industry now anticipates a more lenient regulatory environment under the Trump administration. Away from that, TikTok has resumed operations for its 170 million US users following the intervention of President-elect Donald Trump, who announced plans to issue an executive order to delay the enforcement of a law banning the platform. The law, which came into effect on Saturday, had caused the Chinese-owned app to halt services, citing national security concerns. Despite initially supporting the ban, Trump pledged to extend the timeline for compliance, allowing time for further negotiations. TikTok confirmed that it had begun restoring access shortly after the announcement, and services were quickly reinstated across the U.S. The ban had mandated that TikTok's parent company ByteDance divest its U.S. operations to address security risks. This directive, upheld by the Supreme Court earlier in the week, required the removal of TikTok from app stores and hosting services. The incoming administration's stance marks a significant shift as Trump's team aims to work toward a resolution that ensures both national security and the app's continued availability. The executive order's legality remains uncertain. While the law permits a 90-day delay if significant progress is demonstrated toward resolving security concerns, it is unclear whether such conditions have been met. Legal experts have highlighted potential challenges to this approach, including lawsuits from states and other jurisdictions seeking to enforce the ban. The platform's temporary suspension drew sharp criticism from lawmakers who view TikTok as a tool of Chinese influence. That's all we have for business news on Business Breakfast on Zed. A recap of the headlines. Our top stories for today. Government successfully raises 8.9 billion Ghana cedis from T-bills. And on the international scene, TikTok resumes service in the US amid legal and political uncertainty. And Melania Trump launches her own cryptocurrency. You can visit www.zmultimedia.com for more. Thank you for listening. I'm Samuela Inchi, and up next is Sports Flash with Lukeman Evergreen Moomin.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
You're tuned in to Zed 101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
The stage is set for something special.
It is time to go racing.
Garnacho! Oh wow! Oh wow!
LeBron James with no regard for human life. You couldn't write a script like this.
Here's Metzer, this is positive. Williams, Kudus! The Korean joy did not last for long.
Oh my gosh, Kudus.
Set back for Partey! Oh yes! Oh yes, Thomas Partey!
Hello, good morning. It's time for Business Breakfast on Zed. It's time for sports on Business Breakfast on Zed. Now, Brighton keeps darkening Manchester United's corner. It was a routine win for the Seagulls at Old Trafford. Meanwhile, it looks like their city rivals are back. Now, Kylian Mbappe is red hot in Spain, but Barcelona dropped points in La Liga. We already have a final before the final at the Australian Open, and we also have results from the NBA games that were played last night. All right, we begin with results from the Ghana Premier League matches that were played on Sunday. Now, BBN Gold Stars ended the first round of the Ghana Premier League top of the table after a 3-0 thrashing of stragglers Accra Lions, who finished bottom of the table. Now, Samuel Atakumi netted a hat-trick for Gold Stars at the Wafa Park in Sogakope. House of Folk were held to a goalless draw game by FC Samatex. Brekum Chelsea defeated Midiama by 2-1, with Nations FC traveling to Kpando to beat Heart of Lions 1-0. In other games, in Swatriman FC pipped Karela United 1-0. Basake Holy Stars shared the spoils with Adriana Stars. Legon City thrashed Dreams FC by 3-0 at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium. Young Apostles drew with Bechem United, and Kwame Opoku scored a brace as Kumasi Asante Kotoko handed Vision FC a 4-1 hammering at the Babayara Sports Stadium. Our Vision FC coach Nana Kwekwajiman believes his players gave the players of Kumasi Asante Kotoko too much respect.
Let me congratulate Kotoko. I'm very, very happy. One of the boys actually walked up to me and said that, coach made them watch my pre-match 5 times. They actually understand that both of us, our level of education and level of even education in terms of the game is really, really high. And they actually capitalized on what I said to make sure that they play a good game. I was hoping that my boys were actually going to pick it up and run with it. Unfortunately, they gave Kotoko too much respect. We're going away. We're going again to Chelsea. It's going to be another difficult ground. I hope that my boys will not give them as much respect as we've given Kotoko. But of course, this is the kind of games that we need in our Premier League. We need for the Premier League to be competitive. We need for coaches to talk, to voice out, tell exactly what they are coming to do, so that it will motivate the opposition. We need to move.
Well, that was Nana Kwekwajiman, coach of Vision FC, speaking after the 4-1 defeat to Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Now, away from the Ghana Premier League to the Black Stars, former Ghana captain Stephen Appiah has been named to the new management committee of the senior national team, the Black Stars. Now, Appiah joins a 5-member committee that will be in charge of the administrative and logistical aspects of the team. He will serve as the vice chairman to Randy Abbey, who is chairman of the committee. Other members of the committee are Samuel Abwambri, Dr. Richard Insenture, and Moses Amapaka. Executive Council member of the Ghana Football Association, Frederick Achampon, has dismissed reports suggesting that Kurt Okreku is planning to seek a 3rd term in office. Multiple reports in the local media suggest that the Executive Council is considering amending statutes to allow Mr. Okreku to seek a 3rd term. However, Achampon clarified that the matter has never been discussed at the council level. Black Stars forward Joseph Pencil remains positive Ghana will qualify for the 2026 FIFA World Cup despite a tough 2024. Now, the Black Stars surprisingly failed to qualify for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations after finishing bottom of their group during the qualifiers. Now, Pencil, who missed most of the AFCON qualifiers, insists playing at the World Cup means a lot to the players.
I do. Yeah, really positive. Full force, yes, I do. Because it's something that's really dear to me. I also want to play in the World Cup. I never had the opportunity to. So me having the opportunity now to qualify and to represent myself, for my family, for my friends, it's really something important for me. So for me going onto the field, I need to give everything. So that's the most important thing. And each and every player is also going to do the same thing, because now is the time for us to show ourselves now. For sure. I'm always ready to represent my country. I had some ups and downs with injuries and all these kind of things. That's why I couldn't come to the two last AFCON.
Well, qualifying for the World Cup is not just important to the players, it is important to us, the supporters, and of course the media. Now, two Ghanaian players abroad, and Augustin Boachi delivered a moment of brilliance on Saturday afternoon, scoring a stunning late goal to secure a point for Saint-Etienne in their French League 1 game against Nantes. Now, Antoine Semenyo continued his red-hot form after delivering another goal contribution for Bournemouth as they thrashed Newcastle United at the St. James's Park by 4-1. Midfielder Mohamed Kudus has reached a new milestone in the English Premier League during Saturday's clash between West Ham United and Crystal Palace. Now, Kudus made his 50th appearance in the Premier League after just 1.5 years in England. Now to results from the English Premier League games that were played over the weekend. Manchester City looked like their old selves as they recorded the biggest Premier League win of the season by thrashing struggling Ipswich Town by 6-0 at Portman Road to move back into the top 4. Now Brighton capitalized on a disastrous mistake from Manchester United goalkeeper Andre Onana to condemn their host to a 4th defeat in 5 Premier League home games with a 3-1 victory. Now, United manager Ruben Amorim says they may be one of the worst teams in the history of Manchester United.
We have to acknowledge the moment and not going around the problem. Everybody here is underperforming. No matter what the circumstances, we are underperforming. And we have to accept that it's unacceptable to lose so many games. In 10 games in Premier League, we won 2. I know that. Imagine what is this for a fan of Manchester United. Imagine what is this for me. So we are getting a new coach that is losing more than the last coach. I have full knowledge of that. Like I said, I'm not going to change, no matter what. And I know we can succeed.
Well, so that was Manchester United manager Ruben Amorim speaking there. Now, Nottingham Forest continued their top 4 pursuit with a 3-2 victory over Southampton. Everton's new manager David Moyes secured his first win with a 3-1 victory over Tottenham Hotspur. Now, Arsenal were held at home to a 2-2 draw by Aston Villa, while Liverpool left it late to beat Brentford at the G-Tech. Now, Darwin Nunez was the hero for Liverpool after coming on late to score those 2 goals for the Reds. Now, Brentford manager Thomas Frank acknowledged the superiority of the Reds.
He is the best team in Premier League, of course. They're number 1, so I don't think that's a surprise for anyone. But probably also the best team in the world. We just played against City and Arsenal and now Liverpool in short succession. And I think they are a level above the 2 others right now, more complete in all phases of the game.
Well, that was Thomas Frank, the manager of Brentford. Now, Chelsea will take on Wolverhampton Wanderers tonight at Stamford Bridge. Former England midfielder Dele Alli has joined Italian club Como. The 28-year-old has spent the last month training with the Serie A side and has signed an initial 18-month contract. And in Spain, Kylian Mbappe scored twice as Real Madrid came from behind to beat Las Palmas by 4-1 and go top of La Liga. Barcelona were held to a 1-1 draw by Getafe, while Atletico Madrid were stunned by Leganés after losing by a goal 2-0. Atletico Bilbao returned to winning ways after beating Celta Vigo by 2-1. Now, La Liga side Real Betis are leading the chase to sign Manchester United winger Anthony on loan for the rest of the season. In Germany, champions Bayer Leverkusen defeated rivals Borussia Mönchengladbach by 3-1 to keep the pressure on leaders Bayern Munich, who won their game by 3-2 against Wolfsburg. And in Italy, Napoli kept their place at the top of the table with a 3-2 victory over rivals Atalanta, thanks to a late goal from Romelu Lukaku. Inter Milan beat Empoli by 3-1 with AC Milan suffering a 2-0 defeat to Juventus. In tennis, Novak Djokovic set up a mouth-watering Australian Open quarterfinal against Carlos Alcaraz with a convincing victory over Jiri Lehaka. Now, Djokovic continued his bid for a record 25th Grand Slam title with a 6-3, 6-4, 7-6 win against the Czech 24th seed. He will face Alcaraz, who defeated Britain #1 Jack Draper on Sunday. And results in the NBA, the Milwaukee Bucks defeated the Philadelphia 76ers by 123 to 109. The Brooklyn Nets lost again to the Oklahoma City Thunders, and the Portland Trail Blazers were winners over the Chicago Bulls. There were wins for the LA Clippers in the LA Derby over the LA Lakers, and of course the Sacramento Kings defeated the Washington Wizards by 123 to 100. That will be all for sports this morning. My name is Lukman Evergreen Moomin. Business Breakfast on Zed continues.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Dive into a world of exhilarating fun, refreshing thrills, and endless splashes at the Marina Water Park inside Lakeside. With a wide array of water attractions, you are guaranteed an unforgettable experience for the whole family. Open Saturdays 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sundays 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Call 0508-598-948 or 0204-775-044. Follow us on all socials at Lakeside Marina Park. Marina Water Park. Love the experience.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Zed 101.9 FM.
It a flow, from my head a flow. No be wash, if you check them, you gon' know. Blessings show from my head down to my toes. No be joke, even for my face, they show. I know if you count, I know if you count, though. The blessings of God upon me life, oh. See as my life is a balance, oh. Now the grace of the Lord taking me high, oh.
No be fantasy, your love is my reality. The anointing they break it, your color then baby. Say my God, don't you
when you pamper me, steady you, surprising me, constant you. Who see my energy, oh. This your love, no be fallacy, oh. Even the blind can see, oh. Waiting you do for me, oh. Need a flow, I am on my head, a flow. Don't be wash, oh. If you check out, you go know. Blessings strong from my head down to my toes. Don't be joke, oh. Even for my face, in the show.
The oil flowing is steady. Come at the boy from trenches. He lost every back my blessings. I thank God, so I'm never stressing. No.
Fall under the umbrella. I get it on. Let me know it's over. My daddy, your girl. You put the oil for my head. When I look around, oh, everything I see just they make me believe. Say, all day my head, oh. As you see me, they shine, oh. Supper and me be like ready and tea before. Jehovah help me, oh. Now I don't do it, put the pin on my connect. All of my songs just they make sense. All day my head, oh. Not the word that they confess. We can't they making me the best. Who got them, there's no man contest. All day my head, oh. That's why I need a flow. I am on my head, a flow. Don't be wash, oh. If you check out, you go know. Blessings strong from my head down to my toes. Don't be joke, even for my face, they show.
Zed 101.9 FM.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
You're still tuned into Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM with me, Nee Trebi Hammond. Just gone by is a business news which was brought to you by Samuela Enchi, and Sports Flash brought to you by Lukman Evergreen Moomin. We're live on our YouTube and Facebook platforms. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X at ZFMGH. And then on YouTube and TikTok, we are Z Multimedia. You can also visit www.zmultimedia.com for some news. And very soon we'll be having some conversations. You can join us over our phone lines. On 0544-321019, 0544-321019, 0544-321019. That's our WhatsApp number as well. If you want to text us on WhatsApp, you can do the same. Up next is Business Brief, where I will be sharing with you some valuable insights on how you can leverage key business strategies to boost your brand. Stay with me.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
As you see me, the shine, oh. Supper and me be like bready and tea before. Jehovah help me, oh. Now I don't do serious. Put the pin on my connect. All of my songs just they make sense. All day my head, oh. Not the word that they confess. We can't they making me the best. Who got them, there's no man contest. All day my head, oh, oh, oh. That's why he dey flow. I am on my head, they flow. Don't be what show. If you check out, you go know. Blessings strong from my head and to my toe. Don't be joko. Even for my face, he dey show.
I'm poor from trenches. He lost every back my blessings. I thank God, so I'm never stressing. No.
Fall under the umbrella. I get it on. I be love is over. My darling, your girl. You put the oil for my head. When I look around, oh, everything I see just they make me believe. Say, all day my head, oh. As you see me, the shine, oh. Supper and me be like bready and tea before. Jehovah help me, oh. Now I don't do serious. Put the pin on my connect. All of my songs just they make sense. All day my head, oh. Not the word that they confess. We can't they making me the best. Who got them, there's no man contest. All day my head, oh, oh, oh. That's why he dey flow. I am on my head, they flow. Don't be what show. If you check out, you go know. Blessings strong from my head and to my toe. Don't be joko. Even for my face, he dey show.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Well, this is Business Breakfast on Z101.9 FM, and it's time for the Business Brief segment. Welcome back. This morning on Business Brief, I have something very important to share with you. And it's a story about a company called Radio Shack. Radio Shack. For many of you, maybe this is the first time you are hearing about this particular organization. It's been in the system since somewhere mid-20th century, thereabout. Now, Radio Shack was previously one of the biggest electronic stores in the world. If you wanted to get a new cell phone or an electronic part, that was your first stop. Everybody knew Radio Shack at the time. But right now, that is not the case, unfortunately. And most of you probably have never heard of Radio Shack. But for those of you who were around some decades ago, you must be wondering where it all went wrong. But as the world shifted, so too the winds of fortune. Now let's step into the story and see what went wrong. Radio Shack had an identity, a clear, defined purpose. It was the home for those who wanted to build, create, and explore the world of technology. Its shelves were filled with tools and components that turned ideas into reality. You could walk in with a vision and leave with a means to make it happen. Now, this clarity, this connection to its community was its strength. Radio Shack stood tall as a pioneer, reaching into the hearts of millions. But even the strongest trees fall when their roots are neglected. Fast forward to the 2000s, the world was changing rapidly. Technology was no longer the domain of the hobbyist, and it had become something mainstream. Smartphones, laptops, sleek gadgets took center stage. But Radio Shack stood at a crossroad, unsure of which paths exactly to take. It began to try everything, and it meant everything to everyone. They were stocking products that ranged from batteries to toys, from cables to phones. And so the soul of the brand, which is its core identity, began to fade. Customers who once came for specialized tools now find a confusing mess of offerings. They didn't know which one they were coming in for, because Radio Shack had lost its identity. So people began to ask, who was Radio Shack? But no one could tell. Now, fast forward, there was a talk of rebranding to The Shack, which is, of course, bold, right? But what did it mean? A name change without a purpose is like repainting a sinking ship. I want to repeat that. A name change without a purpose is like repainting a sinking ship. It did little to draw in the younger, tech-savvy audience that had moved on to Amazon and Best Buy. Now, so by 2015, Radio Shack had to file for bankruptcy. The grand empire that once stood for innovation had crumbled. Its stores began to close and its identity dissolved. But let's not despair. What do we learn from this story? There's a company that was doing very well. They were selling their products all over the world. And then when new products began to emerge into the market, Radio Shack couldn't stay focused. They began to wonder, what exactly should we sell? What exactly should we market? So they began to sell all kinds of things. They were selling toys, they were selling batteries, and what have you. So they lost their identity. And they had to even file for bankruptcy in 2015. This big company at the time had lost its stance and couldn't stay in business. What can we learn from this particular company? One of the things I want you to pick this morning to help your business or your brand is that you need to know your core. If you listen to the story about Radio Shack forgot what made it special. But a brand must always know its purpose. You need to know what you stand for and stand firm in it. Radio Shack forgot their core strength or their purpose, or they forgot what they stood for, and they began to do all kinds of things. And so eventually they had to go out of market. So if you're a business or you're a business person, maybe you have your own personal brand, know what you stand for and stick to it. Number 2, you need to adapt, don't abandon. Adapt, don't abandon. The world will change, but abandoning your roots entirely is a recipe for disaster. The world is changing. In business, we always say that one of the things that is very, very core is change. It's a constant. Things will change anytime. But you don't have to abandon your roots. Know where you stand and just adapt. Don't abandon them. And that was what Radio Shack failed to do. And adaptation must be built on a foundation of identity. You must have a foundation of your identity, who you are as a company, who you are as a brand, and stick to it. Just adapt as and when, but don't abandon. Number 3, and the final one that I'll share with you is that speak clearly. Make sure that your communication out there is clear. This is what we stand for. This is what we do. And then people will know you for exactly that. Confusion is the enemy of connection. Once people get confused, they disconnect. So make sure that as a brand or as a business, you stay focused on what exactly you're offering to your customers. Because the moment you confuse them, they will disconnect. And you also need to speak clearly. When you speak to your audience, you have to be clear, consistent, and authentic. These are some of the things that will help you to stay relevant as a brand and not be like Radio Shack. So my friends, Radio Shack's story is more than a tale of failure. It's a reminder of the importance of clarity, connection, and courage. So let us take this story on, not as a dirge, but as a lesson. And I believe that can guide us as we navigate the ever-changing currents of business and branding. So stay focused. Make sure you stick to your brand identity and be on your watch as things begin to change around you, and adapt and don't abandon. That will be all for Business Brief here on Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM with me, Nietzsche Biamon. Up next, we're going to talk transport today, and Solomon Tetenate will be joining me in studio for us to have that discussion. Stay tuned.
Zed 101.9 FM.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Zed 101.9 FM.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
You're tuned in to Zed 101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
You're still tuned into Business Breakfast on Zed. Time check is exactly 40 minutes after 7. And it's time for Transport Today with Solomon Tetenate.
This is the pre-boarding announcement for flight 3728.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engines running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Well, time for Transport Today here on the Business Breakfast on Zed with me, Nietzsche Hammond. And Solomon is in studio. Solo, how are you doing?
Oh, by the grace, I'm doing good. What about you?
Yeah, I'm doing very well.
We thank God.
It's a new week.
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed your weekend.
Yeah, partially. I mean, of course, but some way, somehow.
I understand.
Yeah. Anyway, how are you doing? Oh, you already said you're fine,
okay.
actually. Okay, what's happening in the world of transport?
All right, so Transport Today, I'm taking you through the flight schedules for today. the domestic flights going to Kumasi, Takrade, and Tamale. Some going to Sunyani and then Wa as well.
Wow.
So I'm starting with Passion Air. Accra to Kumasi Passion Air. So first flight takes off 6:20 a.m. And then arrives in Kumasi at 7 o'clock a.m. and then takes off in Kumasi at 7:30 a.m. and then arrives in Accra at 8:10 a.m. And the second flight takes off at 8:50 a.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 9:30 a.m. and then takes off in Kumasi 10 o'clock a.m. and then arrives in Accra at 10:40 a.m. Then third flight takes off 11:20 a.m. and arrives in Kumasi at 12 o'clock p.m. and then takes off in Kumasi at 12:30 p.m. and then arrives in Accra at 1:10 p.m. And then fourth flight takes off 1:50 p.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 2:30 p.m. and then takes off in Kumasi 3 o'clock p.m. and arrives in Accra at 3:40 p.m. And then the fifth flight takes off 4:20 p.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 5 o'clock p.m. and then takes off in Kumasi 5:30 p.m. and then arrives in Accra at 6:10 p.m. And then the last flight for Passion Air Accra to Kumasi, it takes off 7:20 p.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 8:10 p.m. Then takes off in Kumasi 8:30 p.m. and then arrives in Accra at 9:10 p.m. So that is Passion Air from Accra to Kumasi. Let me take you to Accra, through Accra to Takrade, Passion Air. And then we have 2 flights available today for Passion Air Accra to Takrade. And first flight takes off 6:20 a.m. and then arrives in Takrade at 7:10 a.m.
Right.
And then takes off in Takrade at 7:40 a.m. and then gets to Accra at 8:30 a.m.
Okay.
And then second flight takes off 4:20 p.m. and then arrives in Takrade at 5:10 p.m. and then takes off in Takrade at 5:40 p.m. and then arrives in Accra at 6:30 p.m. So that is Passion Air from Accra to Takrade.
Okay.
Yeah, so let me take you through Accra to Sunyani. Okay. We have only 1 flight available today. Yeah, only 1 flight available, and it takes off from Accra at 9:10 a.m. and then arrives in Sunyani at 10:10 a.m.
And then that's a few hours.
Yes, please.
Yeah, from now.
And then it takes off in Sunyani 10:40 a.m. and then arrives in Accra at 11:40 a.m. So it's basically 1 hour journey from here to Sunyani. Yes, please.
Right. And is that 9
a.m. Yes, please.
9 a.m. Okay.
Yeah, it takes off in Accra at 9 a.m.
Okay.
9:10 a.m. I mean.
9:10. Okay.
Yeah. So Accra to Wa, Passion Air. We also have 1 flight available today.
Oh, okay.
It takes off 9:50 a.m. and then arrives in Wa at 11:30 a.m.
Right.
And then takes off in Wa at 12 o'clock p.m. and then gets to Accra at 1:40 p.m. So that is Passion Air Accra to Wa.
Okay.
And then Accra to Tamale.
Okay.
Yeah, Accra to Tamale. We have,
so there's Accra to Wa and then Accra to Tamale.
Exactly.
Okay.
So Accra to Tamale, we have 3 flights available today. First flight takes off 6 o'clock a.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 7:20 a.m. and then takes off in Tamale 7:50 a.m. and then arrives in Accra at 9:10 a.m. And then second flight takes off 12:20 p.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 1:40 p.m.
Right.
And then takes off in Tamale at 2:10 p.m. and arrives in Accra at 3:30 p.m. And then the last flight for Accra to Tamale, Passion Air, takes off in Accra, at 4 o'clock p.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 5:20 p.m. and then takes off in Tamale at 5:50 p.m. and then arrives in Accra at 7:10 p.m. So that is all for Passion Air today. The flight schedules for Passion Air.
Okay.
So let's go to African World Airlines.
Right.
Yeah, African World Airlines, Accra to Kumasi. We have 7 flights available today, Accra to Kumasi. First flight takes off 6:20 a.m. and arrives in Kumasi at 7 o'clock a.m. And then takes off in Kumasi 7:30 a.m. and arrives in Accra at 8:10 a.m. Second flight takes off 8:40 a.m. and arrives in Kumasi at 9:20 a.m. and then takes off in Kumasi 9:50 a.m. and then arrives in Accra at 10:30 a.m. And then third flight takes off 9:40 a.m. Arrives in Kumasi at 10:20 a.m. And then takes off in Kumasi 10:50 a.m. and arrives in Accra at 11:30 a.m. And then fourth flight takes off 12 o'clock p.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 12:40 p.m. and then takes off in Kumasi 1:10 p.m. and then arrives in Accra at 1:50 p.m. And then the fifth flight takes off 2:10 p.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 2:50 p.m. and then takes off in Kumasi 3:20 p.m. and arrives in Accra at 4 o'clock p.m. And then the sixth flight takes off 4:30 p.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 5:10 p.m. and then takes off in Kumasi 5:40 p.m. and arrives in Accra at 6:20 p.m. Last flight for African World Airlines Accra to Kumasi, it takes off 7 o'clock p.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 7:40 p.m. and then takes off in Kumasi 8:10 p.m. and then arrives in Accra at 8:50 p.m. So that is African World Airlines from Accra to Kumasi. Yes, please. So Accra to Takoradi, African World Airlines. We have 2 flights available today, and first flight takes off 7:10 a.m. and then arrives in Takoradi at 7:50 a.m. and then takes off in Takoradi 8:20 a.m. and then gets back to Accra at 9 o'clock a.m. and then second flight takes off 4:30 p.m. and then arrives in Takoradi at 5:10 p.m. and then takes off in Takoradi 5:40 p.m. and then arrives in Accra at 6:20 p.m. So that is African World Airlines Accra to Takoradi. Accra to Takoradi. And we have Accra to Tamale. 4 flights are available today. First flight takes off 6:30 a.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 7:30 a.m. and then takes off in Tamale 8 o'clock a.m. and gets to Accra at 9 o'clock a.m. Second flight takes off 9:30 a.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 10:30 a.m. and then takes off in Tamale 11 o'clock a.m. and gets to Accra at 12 o'clock p.m. And then third flight takes off 12:30 p.m. arrives in Tamale at 1:30 p.m. and then takes off in Tamale 2 o'clock p.m. and then arrives in Accra at 3 o'clock p.m. And then the last flight for African World Airlines Accra to Tamale takes off 3:30 p.m. arrives in Tamale at 4:30 p.m. and then takes off in Tamale 5 o'clock p.m. and gets to Accra at 6 o'clock p.m. So that is the flight schedules for today. So let me take you through the traffic in town.
Yeah, sure. Very important.
So currently Pantine West to Adenta Barrier, there's traffic. Yes, please. Pantine West. All the way to Adenta Barrier. There's traffic over there. And when you are coming all the way from Medina, when you get to Atomic Junction, from Atomic Junction to IPS Road or IPS Junction, there's also a massive traffic. There's a massive traffic over there as well. And then when you drive through all the way to Legon, from Legon to Accra Mall, there's also traffic over there. Yes, please. So you need to take note of that. Yes, please. And then Teshi to Nungwa. So Teshi Road to Nungwa, when you get to Malek Taxi Rank, there's traffic also over there that we need to take note of that. And then Pokwase, when you're coming from Amasaman, when you get to Pokwase, from Pokwase to John Tay Memorial Institute, there's traffic there all the way to Aigbe town of Anko. There's also massive traffic over there. So when you're using that route, then you take note of that. And then Kaswa, when you're coming to West Hills, from West Hills more to McCarthy Hill, there's massive traffic over there that we also have to take note of that. So that's traffic in town. That is all I have for you for traffic in town. And then before I go, Houston Airport Terminal B lobby to close until 2026 for United Airlines led renovation. So there's going to be so United Airlines is making a major move to improve the traveler experience at Houston George Bush International Airport. So there's going to be a renovation over there starting from tomorrow. That's 21st January. So it's going to affect travelers that are using that terminal. That's Terminal B for Houston George Bush International Airport. Yes. So from tomorrow till 2026, it's going to be closed down. So those using that terminal will be affected. But it's for renovation. You know?
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the news we have in aviation. Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much, Solomon, for bringing us transport today. You always help us to make good use of our time, avoiding traffics and all of that. So thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. This is still Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM with me, Trebi Hammond. Just gone by as a Transport Today segment. And up next, we're going to talk market trends. And Emmanuel Boateng will be joining me for that. But before we go into that, enjoy the spot of music. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Zed 101.9 FM.
bless, I receive daily, daily. I know Jesus is taking care of me. New mercies every morning. Yeah, you daily load me with benefits. I'm a benefit boy. You treat me like your only child in the world. I know, Jesus, you're taking care of me. We are here to testify. Jesus is taking care of me. Oh, Jesus is looking after me. Jesus is watching over me. I'm shining because Jesus is taking care of me.
Yes, you daily give your angels charge over me, charge over me. Indeed, you're taking care of me. I don't need to pay for the air that I breathe, air that I breathe. You're taking care of me. Child, your blessings just they follow me. Child, angels watching over me. Before I call you answer me. I'm a benefit yellow. He's taking care of me. Jesus is taking care of me.
101.9
You never leave me. You never let me fall.
Jesus is looking after me. Jesus is watching over me. I'm shining because Jesus is taking care of me. You watch over me, you take care of me, child. Jesus is taking care of me. Jesus is looking after me. He is watching over me. Jesus is watching over me. I'm shining because Jesus is taking care of me.
101.9
Jesus is taking care of me.
Everything is working out for my good.
Jesus is taking care of me. Fighting my battles. Jesus is taking care of me.
Many blessings open up everywhere.
Jesus is taking care of me. Jesus is taking care of me. Latest grace I receive daily, daily. I know He's taking care of me.
You treat.
Zed 101.9 FM.
Well, time check is exactly 1 minute past 8, and it's time for market trends. My brother and friend will be joining me, Emmanuel Boateng will be joining me in studio for that one. But the songs that you heard in the past few minutes are Taking Care of Me by Moses Bless featuring Mercy Chinwo, and they call that one Taking Care of Me. If you're grateful unto God this morning, for taking care of you, then you need to be saying thank you as we play the songs along the line. But also, we have another tune coming up. You need to listen to that one before Emmanuel joins me.
That's right.
1.9 FM with me, Trevi Hammond. It's time for market trends. Now, every year, the World Economic, the International Monetary Fund comes out with what they call the World Economic Outlook update. And that is what we'll be discussing today. Now, according to them, the global growth is divergent and uncertain. It means that they are unsure about how things are going to look. But on the flip side, global growth is projected at 3.3%, both in 2025 and 2026. Now, that is below the historical 2000 to 2019 average of 3.7%. But what does all of these things mean? These are some of the things we're going to talk to Emmanuel about very soon this morning. Let me just run you through a few of the things that the report highlights so that when it comes, we get into the conversation proper. Now, the report says that the global economy is holding steady, although the degree of grip varies widely across countries. Global GDP growth in the third quarter of 2024 was 0.1%, below that which was predicted in October 2024 World Economic Outlook report, after disappointing data releases in some Asian and European economies. Growth in China is at 4.7% in year-over-year terms, and that was below expectations. Now, there's also global disinflation, which continues, and that's some good news. But there are signs that progress is stalling in some countries, and that elevated inflation is persistent in a few cases. So the global median of sequential core inflation has been slightly above 2% for the past few months. And then nominal wage growth is showing signs of moderation alongside indications of continuing normalization in global markets. So actually what that means is that we are away from the whole COVID-19 pandemic, Russian-Ukraine war, and all of these things. The economy, those things are in the past now. We are moving forward. What are some of the things that governments need to do? What are some of the things that governments need to know to be able to take informed decisions? And those are some of the things we'll be discussing with Emmanuel in the next few minutes. Now, also, global inflation conditions remain largely accommodative. So that's also some good news. And again, with some differentiation across jurisdictions. So it varies from country to country, because it's doing very well in the US. But when you come to some European countries, there are some challenges, and not to talk about sub-Saharan Africa. And we're going to go into all of that with Emmanuel. Now, also, economic policy uncertainty has increased sharply, especially on the trade and fiscal front, with some differentiation across countries. And we'll look at that. Now, the IMF staff projections assume current policies in place at the time of publication. They incorporate recent market developments and the impact of heightened trade policy uncertainty, which is assumed to be temporary, with the effect unwinding after about a year, but refrain from making any assumptions about potential policy changes that are currently under public debate. So, as I mentioned earlier, the global growth is expected to remain stable, albeit lackluster, at 3.3% in both 2025 and 2026. And that's some good news right here. Right there. So we'll go into all of that very soon. Now, when you look at the United States, the underlying demand remains robust, reflecting strong wealth effects. So it means that there's going to be a lot of wealth creation in the United States based on this growth in the economy, and the less restrictive monetary policy stance and supportive financial conditions. Growth is projected to be at 2.7% in 2025 in the United States, and this is 0.5 percentage points higher than the October forecast, in part reflecting carryover from 2024, as well as robust labor markets and accelerating investments, among other signs of strength. Amongst other signs of strength. And growth is expected to taper to potential in 2026. But when you look at the Euro area, I mean, when I talk about Euro area, I'm talking about the European space. Growth is expected to pick up but at a more gradual pace. Growth is expected to pick up, but it will take some time. It is going to be gradual in October, with geopolitical tensions continuing to weigh on sentiment. And then in other economies, two offsetting forces keep growth forecasts relatively stable. On the one hand, recovering real economies are expected to support the cyclical recovery in consumption. And on the other hand, trade headwinds, including the sharp uptick in trade policy uncertainty, are expected to keep investment subdued. We'll be talking to Emmanuel very soon on all of this and what it means to us globally, as a world at large, and then what does that mean to Africa? And then we trickle down to Ghana. We try to understand what that means to us as a nation. But some of the questions that I'll be asking him this morning will be centered on why the global growth is expected to remain below the historical average, and why global inflation is declining. What are the factors that are influencing global inflation decline? And as I mentioned, it's good news, but we need to understand what the factors really are. We're going to also go into how these might, how might this affect this global risk impact markets and economies in this year. Then we also talk a bit about what that means to sub-Saharan Africa, the key drivers of growth in this particular area of our world. And then we come down to Ghana. What does it mean? What must governments do? Emmanuel will be giving us all the updates on that. He joined me in studio, and I'm going to bring him on right away. Ima, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
I hope everything is fine.
Yeah, all is well.
Great. My listeners have been waiting for you.
Oh.
Anyway, you're welcome. So we'll get into the document, but just before we get into the document, maybe you could just tell us, what is the World Economic Outlook update? What is it about?
All right. So the World Economic Outlook update, it's IMF forecast of the outlook of the global economy.
Right.
Including emerging economies, developed economies, and what have you. So the IMF and the World Bank, both of them, they forecast how economies around the world are going to do.
Okay.
Simply put, in terms of their growth levels, what they need to do to bring down growth in terms of inflation levels and all of that.
Right.
And so, just as the name suggests, an outlook.
It's an outlook.
So in the coming years, what should we expect?
Right.
And this gives a good signal to policymakers, which is the countries or the economies of the world,
right.
Also to investors, because once you know emerging economies are going to grow in this direction, their growth is going to go with this magnitude, then you know how to channel your funds or allocate your resources across various investment handles and across various economies, so that you're able to make the most out of them. Yeah, so it's important. It guides economies on how they should run their business in order to stay within the purview of how they ought to grow, among other things.
Right. Okay, that's good. So, and it's released every year in January, I guess.
Yes, it is.
Right.
Not just in January. Sometimes you, depending on what happens, for instance, if there's a major global geopolitical tension, global uncertainty and all, sometimes they make revisions to be able to help deal with such.
All right, great. We're going to go into this particular one, which was released this month. And the very first question I want you to address is, when you look at the report, it says that global growth is projected at 3.3%, which is lower than the historical average of 3.7. And I want to know, why is global growth expected to remain below the historical average, and what are the main factors contributing to this slowdown?
All right. So, first of all, you may want to understand what the slower growth in itself reflects. It reflects several interconnected factors. So this is not as though we're just, the IMF just took, say, a country like the United States. No, it is the global world which is viewed as one. And so that slower growth is more or less like an aggregate sum of the entire world, how the economies around the world are going to do. So because of the interconnectedness, one, you want to note that advanced economies, they are grappling with aging populations and declining productivity. Any country that has a number of, a significant proportion of its labor force within a certain age bracket manifests directly in the level of productivity or output per man, as it will be called. And so, not like in our parts of the world. In Ghana, we have more younger persons than older persons, but that is not true for especially some advanced countries. Some advanced countries have more older people than younger people because of their policies around birth control and what have you. And so because they are the leading or they are the drivers of the global economy, it looks like how they are going to grow significantly impacts the rest of the world. So that is why I want to begin the discussion from. The fact that the big players, if you like, yes, the big players have a lot more aging population. It reduces their level of productivity. And that is one key reason why the growth that the global economy would experience is a bit slower. And possibly below historical average of 3.7%. This is 3.3 and then 3.7%.
And they are those who call the shots.
Yeah, they call the shots.
So once they are affected, we are also affected.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you will notice that emerging markets are actually growing faster relative to the advanced economies. Emerging markets are those that more or less, if you are listening to me, it's more or less like up and coming. The developed ones they are there, if you like. They are well established, as against those with vulnerable structures, some inefficiencies and what have you. So you would notice that, maybe let me run you by this data very, very quickly. There is a data I have here that is this data is from IMF. Now, when you take the global economy, as we have seen here, in 2024, the global economy grew by 3.2%. In 2025, it is expected to grow at 3.3%. And even in 2026, the projection is still that the global economy will grow at 3.3%. And although the 2 years, this year and the next, are below the, if you like, historical average of 3.7%. It's also important to note that the previous year, which was 2024, was also even below what we are going to experience this year. That was 3.2%. Now, that is the global, when you put the two together, emerging and advanced. Now, let's look at the advanced economy. In 2024, the advanced economies grew by 1.7%. That is less than the global score. Then in 2025, they expected to grow at 1.9%. It is higher than their previous year, but less than the global growth rate. And then next year, it will fall to 1.8%, still less than. But these are the drivers. That is why I'm saying that the global economy will be able to do very well if these advanced economies do very well. The chances that the global economy grows faster is heavily predicated by the growth of the advanced economies than the growth of the emerging economies. And to explain that, let's look at something. Emerging markets and developing economies. In 2024, which was last year, they grew by 4.2%. That is higher than the historical global average, one of 3.7%, higher than the growth rate of advanced economies, 1.7%. I don't know if you get me. Two, in 2025, they are expected to grow at the same rate, 4.2%, higher than global average, higher than advanced economies of 1.9%. Then, in 2026, emerging markets are expected to grow by 4.3%. that is higher. You see the advanced economies fell between 2025 and 2026 in terms of the outlook. They fell by 1 percentage point. And then the global economy remained the same. But the emerging markets increased by 0.1 percentage point.
Right.
And so that gives you a certain idea that the growth rate of the emerging markets is quite high in relative terms when you compare it to the advanced economy. So why is that not causing the global economy then to grow faster? And it is because the growth rate of the advanced economy is slightly below, and they are the movers of the global economy. And that is why it is so.
Right.
Sorry for going through this.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. So still on the the main factors contributing to this slowdown.
Yeah.
I know COVID-19.
Yes, it
COVID-19 pandemic also has an effect.
Yeah, it is.
And we're now coming out fully from the pandemic.
Yeah.
Even though it is projected that we are out of, the COVID-19 is behind us, I think that also has an effect on the economies globally, isn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. For instance, in Ghana, this is Bank of Ghana data.
Right.
This is Bank of Ghana data. Bank of Ghana reported that output has declined in all sectors of the global economy. Output. In other words, production capacities.
Right.
What that would mean is that there would be a shortage in the market. Given the same level of demand, when output reduces, the shortage is created. And it is because of COVID.
Okay.
It is because of COVID. That was one of the main impacts of COVID, because COVID restricted businesses from their normal course of operation. COVID brought down economic activity.
Right.
Aggregate economic activity fell. It's the same as the output. And that led to rising inflation. I mean, you were in Ghana, so I'm sure you would see signs of this.
Yeah.
So because of COVID, the global economy saw a fall in its output level.
Okay.
And that is a major contributor to the growth rate. I mean, what is growth outside of output? That is all about growth. I mean, I'm sure you've done some maybe social studies or something, but factors of production is maybe you say land, labor, capital, but today we are talking about this the mind.
Right.
Yes, we are talking about technology and what have you. And I mean, when you look at all the production functions that have been modeled, that is what translates into output. And so if one of them or two of them is curtailed significantly, it will manifest in what the country is able to produce or deliver, or what the global economy is able to produce or deliver. And once there is shortage and demand is the same or it surges, inflation or prices will rise. Once prices rise, it has an impact on real wages. It has an impact on people's disposable income. And more or less, you see that the growth rate of the global economy would fall, because it's output that is used to proxy growth.
Right.
And so that's basically it. But not just COVID. The impact of the global geopolitical tensions.
Okay. Russia and Ukraine war?
Russia and Ukraine war is a major example. I mean, that's had everything to do with disruptions in the supply chain.
Right.
I mean, we know Russia deals in oil. I mean, global market is a major, player in that oil industry. And so once it is not giving out the oil that the world needs, that disruption in itself will also bring, maybe when I say oil, maybe someone may think it's phyto, but I'm talking about crude oil. And it is important for specific reasons. Because, I mean, that is fuel. That is what drives economic activity. And so maybe you would want to understand it that way. Energy. That is what drives it. And once that is in shortage, it means economic activity would definitely slow down.
Right.
And we'll see the effect.
Okay.
So
go ahead.
I want to conclude.
Sure,
when you put these factors together, the real impact is that because inflation is rising, central banks would have to adjust their policies to be able to bring it down. And that is where you start experiencing tighter monetary policies.
Right.
like in Ghana, our monetary policy rate is 27%. Be as it may, that is quite high.
Yeah.
That is high. And so these tighter monetary policies are meant to bring down inflation in order to create a more enabling and challenging environment for sustained global economic growth. And it is not just Ghana that increased its monetary policy rate. It was the case all around the world.
All right. Okay, so one of the things that I see in the document is that while global inflation is declining, the pace of disinflation varies significantly across various regions, right?
Yeah.
I want to know, why is it slower in some countries, and what does it mean for the global economy?
Right. Global inflation is falling. However, the pace of disinflation varies. I mean, disinflation would simply mean a fall in the inflation rate.
Okay.
That's okay. Right. One, we would speak to structural inefficiencies. Inefficiency to the extent that some economies, I mean, the advanced economies are well established. Their structure delivers efficiency in their production output.
Right.
And so it is, let me say, natural that they would experience that. But emerging economies within efficient structures will be vulnerable still to the shocks that have happened. And that is why they would not experience a significant fall in the inflation rate. For instance, inflation still remain high in a country like Ghana, which is an emerging economy.
Right.
However, inflation seem to be falling in some economies, maybe like the US and all of that.
Right.
Yeah, it is because of our structures. There are differences. In advanced economies, services inflation is usually driven by wage growth. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Exactly. And what that will mean is that that will slow the disinflation process.
Okay.
That is what happened.
You mean the growth rate in the in tight labor markets?
Yes, in tight labor markets. That will slow the disinflation
Right.
rate. Not only that, for countries that are experiencing currency depreciation, definitely. And not only are they doing that, they have high energy input costs and they rely on imports.
Okay.
You know, this is more or less like I'm bringing the CV of Ghana to bear. Inflation will be elevated.
Yeah.
But that is not the case for most of these advanced countries.
Because they export.
Exactly.
Right.
They are giving you what you are importing. And they have stable currencies as against your depreciating currency. The impact of that is that as one is losing, one is gaining. And so there will be differences. So yes, it's okay for us to say that the global economy is experiencing falling levels of inflation. But for you to be a part of that, it means that your structures must have a similitude with that of the global economy. In other words, with the big players. Otherwise, the variations in country-specific factors must be brought out so that we see that, yes, it is coming down, but it does not apply to every country because of dependence on imports, because of currency depreciation, because of structural inefficiencies, and what have you.
Right. Unfortunately, Ima, today our time is fast spent because we're supposed to do some conversations around Africa and then come down to Ghana. I don't know how long it's going to take us to go into all of that. But just before we go, the report also highlights risk with, trade uncertainty, geopolitical tensions, and inflationary pressures. Yeah. How might these global risks impact markets and economies this year?
Yes, this is a good question, especially because I've been reading around this for some time now, about 6 months, how geopolitical tensions come down to affect some countries who know nothing about it. See, Russia and Ukraine are fighting, yet
our previous government used to blame the state of the economy.
But that is valid.
You established that it's a valid point.
You know,
it's not something to...
Yeah, there is a popular theory in finance, contagion, that tells us that whenever there are disruptions in the global market or in some parts of the global market, it spills to other markets in the global economy. There is a spillover effect. It means that these tensions, the effect of the tensions on the countries involved will trickle down to almost every country. And I mean, especially the interconnectedness of SAIL. Now, when there are global tensions, in this case, Russia and Ukraine, what is going to happen is that, or what happens, or what happened, it could be any of the three. Yeah, so that for any other one that may come up, you know, you are going to have a situation like this.
Right.
But in this case, what happened was that there was a disruption in the global supply chain. And that will increase commodities like oil.
Okay.
It will increase their prices. Once that happens, there will be inflationary pressures. You know, these are big movers.
Right.
Once they are experiencing inflationary pressures, it will trickle down to us. Now, especially in critical sectors like energy, this inflation will be around that. And then food. Now, any spike, any further spike in supply shocks will worsen or exacerbate the situation. Is that okay?
Okay.
Now, what would happen then is that investor confidence will be eroded. Okay. There will be increase in financial market volatility. Today prices are high, tomorrow prices come down. You are not able to predict with certainty the real returns of your investment.
Right.
And that in itself buttresses the fall in the confidence you have as an investor. Not only that, it will amplify exchange rate instability. Maybe one day I'll have a conversation with you that what Ghana needs is not really appreciating currency, is a stable currency. Once there is stability in exchange rates, planning is possible, forecasting is possible. But if today it is 10, tomorrow 13, next day 14, 15, 16, we come to 10,
right.
it looks like maybe a non-linear something.
Okay.
It comes down, goes up.
Yeah.
That fluctuation is not needed at all for any economy in this world. You don't want an unstable currency. You really, okay, my currency is not strong. But if everybody knows our currency is maybe 20 to 1, and it will be like that the whole year. I mean, we know what we are about, and we know what strategies we can use for our trade and what have you. So these really are the things that are going to happen. Right. Now, emerging markets are vulnerable to these things. Why? Because of capital flights.
Okay.
Capital flights. Capital outflow. I think 3 days ago, I was reading a report that was giving us how much money left Africa just because of the effect of these global tensions on Africa. Yeah. We are vulnerable. You know, investors. You see, the thing has happened there. Those economies are stronger. They are able to, if you like, respond to these shocks. After a while, you see that it looks like we are weeping more than the bereaved and all of that. Now, investors now are seeing that, no, the impact of these shocks is very high on Africa. Let me take my money out and go invest in somewhere else that there is stability and there is hope that my investment will do well. Right. And that is really what happens. And that in itself is a bad signal for African economies. And that would then lead to high borrowing costs, which can lead to fiscal stress. And I mean, really, that is going to be the cycle of events and how things are going to go.
Okay. Well, that's fair. So maybe trying to make it very relatable. So let's say you have a guardian, somebody you depend on. Yeah. And then maybe they have issues with their spouse or something. Then immediately it affects you that you are just depending on them, isn't it? So that's the situation of Ghana and some of these advanced countries. Ima, unfortunately, we'll end here. Tomorrow, I want us to go into we'll look down. I mean, we'll come down to the sub-Saharan African space, and then we come to Ghana, which I think will help us appreciate what we are discussing very well. Yeah, but thank you very much for coming this morning.
Yeah, maybe my last word is that the CD keeps on depreciating. It's been depreciating for some time now. Yeah.
What that? Do you have the rates?
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay, maybe run us through that.
14.95, almost 15.
Again.
Yeah.
We're climbing up.
Yeah. And treasury bills, government met its targets and even did beyond it. Maybe tomorrow we'll try and get into some of those things.
All right, Ima, thank you very much for joining. You're still tuned into Business Breakfast on Z101.9 FM with me, Raphael Ni Trebi Hammond. We just finished a conversation with Emmanuel on the global the World Economic Outlook report by the IMF. And tomorrow we'll go into it deeper and look at some other things. But just in the next few minutes, we're going to have our expert guest coming in studio to talk to us about the effective strategies for branding your business, and you don't want to miss that conversation. But while you wait for that, you can follow us on our Instagram, Facebook, and X. We are on Instagram, Facebook, and X at ZFMGH, and then on TikTok and YouTube we are Z Multimedia. You could also visit www.multimedia.com, zmultimedia.com. And check out some news. But in this conversation, you can join our conversation on 0544321019. That's our WhatsApp number. You can WhatsApp us as we have the conversation. Our guest will be in studio very soon. But while we wait for him, enjoy the spot of this of music. We'll be right back. Well, you're still tuned into Business Breakfast on Z101.9 FM with me, Ni Trebi Hammond. We're going to have a conversation right about now, and I have in studio with me our expert guest who is going to talk to us. Today, we're talking about the effective branding strategies for new businesses. What are the strategies that you need to put in place to put your brand at a competitive edge. Now, in today's competitive market, branding is no longer a luxury. It has become a necessity, something that every organization must take part in. You need to brand your business to stand out. And if you remember the story I shared with you about Radio Shack refused to brand themselves, to have an identity for themselves. And that is what led to their downfall. And so it is very important that we have a conversation on this. And it is important to know that a strong brand can set you apart. It can help you build trust with your with your audience and lay the foundation for long-term successes. However, many new businesses struggle to create a compelling brand that resonates with customers and communicates their unique value. And so today, that is why we're having this conversation with Mr. Godswill TK Mensah. I'm going to read his profile shortly, and then we get into that. But whether you are starting your own business, you're starting your first business, or you're looking to rebrand for better results, this conversation will equip you with some actionable insights to create a brand that stands out in the marketplace. And so let me read his profile very quickly, and then we get into the conversation. So Godswill TK Mensah is a passionate preacher, entrepreneur, author, husband, father, and advocate for value-based leadership. With over 20 years of speaking experience across 38 countries, he inspires change from Africa to the world. As the executive director of the Center for Outreach Mentorship and Empowerment, CAM, he empowers young leaders for purpose-driven impacts. He's known for his candid style. He connects deeply with students, professionals, and industry leaders. His latest publications include Roaring Through the Dark, Not Yet Tied, and Convictions. All of these books urge audiences not to fear embracing change, causing change, and giving change its rightful meaning. This morning, Mr. Godswill TK Mensah is in studio with me, and I'll just bring him in. Sir, you're welcome.
My privilege.
Thank you so much for coming.
Great to see you. You look good.
Thank you. You too. I like your kaftan. Is it
kaftan,
at
best I can say you are good looking.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm excited to have you this morning.
Yes.
The conversation we're going to have is very, very important. And from your profile and from what I've read about you, you are the best person to have this conversation with. And I know my audiences are itching to hear from you.
Yeah.
So let's start the conversation this way. How would you define branding?
Basically, I would say branding is what people will say about you when you are not present. That's a brand.
When you are not present?
Yes, when you're not present.
Wow.
It gives the true ethos of a brand. In essence, your identity is a brand.
I see.
Yep.
Because I was telling them a story, my audience, a story a few minutes ago about Radio Shack. So Radio Shack started as a company in America, and they were all over the world when it comes to electronics, mobile phones, what have you, all the electronic gadgets that you know about. But it got to a point that other things began to come into the market, like laptops and all of that. Then they got confused. They couldn't stick to their identity. Then eventually Radio Shack got out of the market because people didn't understand them. And so I appreciate what you're saying about the identity and all of that. Now, what is the difference between branding and marketing?
All right. I will put it this way, that branding is your identity. Now, marketing is the pathway in communicating that identity to your audience. In essence, branding is who you are. Marketing is getting the audience to know that personality.
Right.
Be it by emotional connection and value proposition. So marketing is saying, a loud voice saying, this is a good person. Pay attention. Marketing. Branding, who you really are. Okay. In essence, no matter how much you market, if a brand is bad, it is bad. So to put it philosophically, I would say that branding is a condition precedent to marketing. You must brand first before you market. But people are marketing while they are not looking at the branding. And we do it as individuals too. So you go to social media, a lot of people are packaging. That is marketing. First, be real. So if you are real, if the product is real, if the identity is solid, then you have a good brand.
Right.
then marketing is easier if the brand is solid.
Okay.
Marketing becomes difficult if you are dealing with a very bad brand. Sure.
Very interesting. Okay, so the difference is that branding is about who you are.
Yes, your identity.
But marketing is what you are telling the world.
Exactly.
Okay, so
marketing is announcing the brand to the world.
So if you have a bad brand and you are marketing, then you are selling a wrong message.
It's a matter of time. People will get to know. If it is fake, it is fake.
Okay.
So branding itself is building an authentic identity.
Okay.
Be real.
Okay.
Be real.
We'll get into what exactly it entails very soon. Now, why is it important for businesses or even human beings? To have a brand.
There are a lot of entities.
Okay.
There are a lot of individuals. There are a lot of businesses or product. What branding does is branding creates a niche for you.
Okay.
It causes you to connect with your audience in a very intimate manner. And it makes you look different. It sets you apart. So, for example, when you want to talk about a place where you can buy items that are a little cheap, but you can stick your neck to it a little, not to promote a brand, but there is a brand we're saying where Ghana shops.
Okay.
It's a brand.
Right.
When you are looking for an authentic mobile phone that is solid, that people cannot easily hack into, a brand will come to mind. When you want to make a call in Ghana, and regardless of your location, you are able to connect without having issues with network, somebody is saying everywhere you go. So a brand sets you apart. It gives you a niche.
Okay.
It creates a unique identity for you. So in a market where everybody, we have about, let's say, 8 billion people. My name is Godswutike Mensa, and I am a brand. It set me apart. So a brand gives you a unique identity.
Right.
So regardless what everybody else is selling, your brand will bring your client to remember you and are willing to choose you and are willing to be loyal and to trust you. Branding. Yep.
Okay, so what are some of the misconceptions that businesses have when it comes to branding?
It's expensive.
Branding is not expensive?
They say it's expensive.
It's not?
It is not as expensive as many people think. This is the reason why small businesses are not willing to. Another issue is branding is for big organizations. No. Branding is for everyone. It's for every product.
Right.
So, number one, branding is expensive. It's not truth. It is not the truth. Because to create a personality that is authentic must not be expensive to me.
Okay.
You must build it according to your strength, according to your target, according to your customers. So the first myth is branding is expensive. It is not as expensive as people project it. Because if you are doing 10 figures or 8 figures, your branding must be within your ability.
Okay.
The reason why branding becomes expensive is when we want to be what we are not. The whole branding concept is be real. Number two, we are small businesses. We don't need to do. A1 started, and what do they start doing? A1 bread is just saying, if you're looking for an authentic bread that is hot, that is real, and that is very, very tasty, we are here. They started as a local, simple bakery.
Right.
Today, they are a household name.
Right.
So the misconception is it is expensive. It's for big businesses. It's for corporate giant. No. Every business, even if your audience are 10, you must brand.
If your audience are 10, you must brand. I mean, your customers.
Yes.
Really. Okay, so at what point should a business start branding?
Before they even begin. Branding should not be an afterthought. In the entire scheme of bringing a business, a product to life, branding must be conceptualized before the public begins to know the brand.
Right.
So branding must not be an afterthought. Immediately you are conceiving a product, a service, By that time, you know who your audience are.
Right.
By that time, you know their value proposition. By that time, you know how to connect and the rest. So you figure all this out before you are out to the world. So branding is not to be an afterthought. You think it the day you are starting to look at a problem and trying to provide a solution. There and there, you must commit to a branding philosophy or strategy.
Wow. So is it just about logos and visuals? Because people think that branding is how I look. So you see somebody, maybe a gentleman, dresses very well.
Yeah.
And then they just go like, I mean, this guy has a nice brand.
Yeah. No, it's
is that what it means?
No, it's a packaging. Logo is just an outward representation. Branding in essence is experience.
Okay.
The emotions your customers or your clients or your audience get when you come to mind, the satisfaction you give them, the experience they have when they come in contact with you or your product, that is branding. So branding is experience. It's not just a logo. A logo is 1/1,000,000th of the whole concept of a brand. It's necessary. Let me just hasten to add, it's critical, but that is not a key foundation of branding. Branding in simple term is how you make people feel. It's experience. After they've left your presence, what smile do they carry?
Okay.
What memory stays with them? That is branding.
Okay, so when we're talking, let me just take you back
Yeah.
a bit. When you were talking about businesses branding right from scratch before they even start their business, so what came to mind is then what is rebranding? Because I've seen businesses that have started and then along the line they go like, we are rebranding.
Sure.
What do they mean? Does it mean they are changing their identity? What does it mean really?
Rebranding is very essential. The reason is that branding in essence is saying, I want to meet a need of my audience. So for example, to brand, you need to know your audience.
Okay.
To brand, it must be very clear to you. I'm not serving everybody. I'm serving just a certain group of audience. Number two, to brand is to know the needs of that audience. To meet the needs of that audience, it's basically about satisfying or solving a problem. Now, when in the process of delivering value over a period of time, product or organizations or entity are to sit back and research to find out, where are our audience now? Where are our customers now? I speak to students in the universities. Now, some of them today are captains of industry. So as a public speaker, I need to rebrand. Now, I'm not going to speak only to students. Some of my audience are now captains of industries.
Right.
So in my rebranding, my messaging must now touch base with same. Our organization is a center for outreach, mentorship, and empowerment. We are doing human capital development. We do value-based leadership. We started with student groups, but today we are in the corporate space, providing solutions to institutions and organizations on their human labor. How do we come to that term? We notice that after 10 years, after 6 years, our audience profile are changing. So we need to rebrand. So rebranding is key. For example, a typical example is Fun Eyes. Or they started, everybody was talking about it at a point. Now they want to still provide value of fun, but they now want to add a health component.
Right.
So they introduce new brands that is rebranding them, that we are not just providing ice cream.
You mean new product?
New product.
Yeah.
We are now providing also health conscious products.
Right.
So rebranding is indispensable within the value chain of branding.
But when businesses say they are rebranding, all we see is that they change their logos. Sometimes they change the name of even the business, and sometimes they change the colors and all of that. How can we make sense of that?
It's about 10% of the entire branding matrix. So, for example, strategy may change. All you may know, product lines may evolve.
Right.
So their marketing is changing, is what you are saying. The way they are marketing their product is now a little different, but the value must almost remain the same. Yes. So anybody who says rebranding is akin to just logo change, color difference, and maybe setup. No, that is just the lower leg of the real branding. Remember, I'm saying that branding is about experience. So if you are not giving a new experience, you are not rebranding. If you are not improving, a better word to use, a new experience to the audience, then you are not engaging rebranding. Rebranding is in essence saying, I want to serve better. I want to be more impactful. I want to be more meaningful. And I want to influence my audience in a better way. Basically, the philosophy about rebranding.
Well, it's exactly 9 a.m. and this is Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM with me, Raphael Nietzsche Hammond. And I'm speaking to Mr. Godswill, yes, TK Mensah, and we're talking about effective branding strategies for your business. So if you're listening to, if you're tuned in this morning, you may want to join the conversation on our Instagram, Facebook, and X at ZFMGH. Instagram, Facebook, X at ZFMGH. And then on YouTube and TikTok, we are Z Multimedia on YouTube and TikTok. You could also text us on WhatsApp on 0544-321019, 0544-321019, 0544-321019. You can also phone in and then we bring you into the conversation. If you have comments, you have questions for Mr. Godswill, TK Mensah, then you can just join the conversation. Now, so let's get into the conversation proper. And we're going to talk about building a strong foundation. How can new businesses identify their unique value? Everybody wants to do what everybody else is doing. How can I identify, as a business, how can I identify my unique value or my differentiator?
Question number one, you need to find out what unique problem are you solving.
Okay.
Number one, what unique solution am I bringing on board? Number two, how is that influencing my audience? Number three, get a feedback from your audience. Can you go
over it again?
Number one, you need to find out what unique solution are you bringing on board.
Okay.
So first point, solution, that is unique.
Okay.
Number two, how is that influencing or impacting your client or your customers? And then number three, what feedback are you getting from those using your product?
Okay.
With this three basic stuff, you are able to find out your unique selling point. But I must hasten to add, without identifying your audience, there is no way you can be a brand.
Okay.
There is no way you can be a brand. Brand is not in your head. It's not how you feel. It's not about your ego. It's not about your personality per se. It's about the customer's experience. So if you know what is unique for them concerning your product, if you know how that is aiding them, then you will get a feedback from them. Then you can now build a brand strategy.
All right, let me try and take what you just shared one after the other.
Mm-hmm.
So your first question is that you need to know the unique problem you are solving.
Yeah.
Now, in today's world, we see a lot of people who want to go into business.
Yep.
Let's say they want to sell maybe clothes, right? Oftentimes, you see other people doing the same business. Then somebody just comes in and they're also doing the same thing without any unique. You see that it's almost the same. Maybe if somebody's sewing kaftans, I'm also sewing kaftans. And that is, I'm also in the market. How do I differentiate myself really?
The question is first to find out, who do you want to serve?
Okay.
A lack of creativity and innovation is a lack of identifying what we call a niche audience, a niche client. We want to serve everybody. The reason why people are mimicking, in brand preposition we can call that mimicking. The reason why many businesses are just mimicking themselves, and this is the reason why we can't be on the global stage, is because we have not yet identified our unique client. So if you know exactly, so I want to serve professionals from the ages of 25 to 40, they are the ones I want to serve. People who are ambitious, people who are forward looking, people who have a taste of Pan-Africanism. And with that in mind, my brand flavor and the rest will be different. Take Woodin, the patterns of Kente you see, it's a unique sell point for them. They want to identify with a certain unique audience. So without identifying that unique audience, at best, my brother, I can confidently say you will go nowhere with that branding. It will not sell. And this is what the typical Ghanaian business must learn. And we need to start teaching it in schools, not as an elective course. We must. Remember, the African Continental Free Trade Area is in Ghana.
Right.
Ghana must begin to see itself as the economic headquarters of Africa. And every Ghanaian must understand the place of branding, its impact in our socio-economic journey, and why the Ghanaian must stand out in the whole branding discussion. It is key. So you need to know your audience, and that will let you know the unique problem you want to solve.
Right.
If you don't know my need, so before I came to your studio, anyway, you have a good studio.
Thank you.
Brilliant. And I'm not flattering you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
I checked you up. I checked everything. And I said, whoa, I saw what you are attempting to do.
Right.
I saw the place of ethics. I saw the place of, there is a veiled anchor of faith in all what you do.
That's true.
So I quickly know what these people are up to.
Right.
Because you are communicating and you're doing it so well that we want an ethical version of media consumption.
Right.
We just don't want to do what everybody's doing.
Right.
So in this place, I know you will check your fact. There are no cheap propaganda.
Right.
Why? Your audience is people who want ethics as a hallmark.
Right.
So you have cut a niche for yourself.
Yeah.
Every business. When you were doing your lunch, a statement was made by one of the preachers in Ghana that there is a lot of media houses, but you want to solve a problem. You are talking about credibility and ethics. So you have defined a unique problem you have seen in the media landscape you want to solve. And that is defining your audience.
Right.
It can only get better. Every business must know their unique audience. Go ahead.
If you're a business, this is where you have to tune in every day, because this is Business Breakfast on Zed, and we are your lifestyle, leisure, and business platform. Your only lifestyle, leisure, and business platform. We don't do anything politics. I mean, we have an idea. We have a brand. We don't do politics. We may touch on those things a bit. I mean, as and when it matters. But we are focused really on business, and we want to see your business thrive. And so this is where you have to tune in every day. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend. All right, let's get into our conversation a bit more. Now, what are the key? Okay, let's talk about the things that you wrote. I mean, you mentioned a while ago. I said we'll take them one after the other so that I don't lie to my audience. Now, you talk about solution. I think you've tried to answer that already. How is and you said the third question is, how is that influencing your clients?
Yeah.
Can you throw a bit more light on that?
There is a pain point to every client. Every customer has a need. So, for example, somebody says that we want to pick people's data, analyze them so that they make an informed decision. So they form a data analyzing entity.
Right.
We say that we have seen a problem in leadership across Africa and in the marketplace. We want to provide a new generation of leaders that will drive economic change and do it on a basis of excellence and integrity. You need to know if your product, if your business is not leading your customers to reach their aspiration where they want to go, you are not going to be in business for long. I.e., somebody says that I want to be the best in my area of, let's say, IT. So I'm coming to read computer science as first degree.
Right.
That is the aspiration that's the need area. So if you are providing an education that is not leading that student, that parent, to make sure that their son or their daughter reaches that target, you are just doing what we call the mundane, business as usual. If I can provide a solution that will aid you to move to the next level of your life's aspiration, then we are connected. I am giving value for what you are seeking. So that is very critical for those who are in branding.
I see. Let's talk a bit about the feedback thing that you mentioned.
Good.
So you mentioned that businesses, the kind of feedback that you get from your customers should give you an idea of the brand that you're building.
Sure.
Does it mean then that I have to start selling before I begin to look at what brand I'm putting out there? Is that what it means? That I have to start selling? Because if I'm expecting feedback, then I need to give somebody a product and then get their feedback before I get to know that I'm doing well or not. So maybe you may want to...
It can be in two layers. For example, even before you begin to put up a brand, you need to have done a research to know what are the need areas. So there are existing entities doing what you want to do, but doing it in a certain way. And the market is having a certain ripple. So your research is going to tell you, this is the way the market is responding to this area. That's a feedback. Based on that, you are now building a niche area. So number one, before you start, your business must be research anchored. And the research is already a feedback the market is giving. We are dissatisfied with this, we are pleased with this, we are pleased with that. So based on this, you are creating a unique niche area. That is one leg. A pre-market research or feedback. Then a during market. When you are now starting, you are now giving your product, you are now serving. The 5 people you serve, get the feedback. The best marketing is word of mouth. Somebody who has experience. I'm a Christian. The Bible says, taste and see that the Lord is good. Great. So in essence, even God is saying, just try me. It is the people who have listened. 12 people connected with him called disciples. Today, 3-point-something billion. Word of mouth. So a feedback is going to give you, are we doing what we have promised?
Right.
Are people satisfied with what we are doing? Do we need to improve? Do we need to downsize? Is there something that they are uncomfortable with? Maybe your product is solid, your packaging is bad. You want to get that feedback. Maybe your product is very good, but the problem is the time you deliver.
Okay.
You must always get a feedback. It's a relationship. This whole business thing is a relationship.
Right.
So without a feedback, before you realize, you'll be out of market. It is germane, is central to the whole business. Metrics. Yeah.
I see. Very, very interesting. Now, what role does storytelling play in branding?
It's a central figure. You see, branding is not an abstract issue, especially in Africa, where our very life revolves around stories. Look, without a story, a branding is an abstract step.
Okay.
So, for example, we go to a university and we see a student leader that we have influenced and impacted. In University of Zambia, that our product resonated with this young man to the point that he took his studies serious. Whilst a student leader, he got a first class.
Wow.
A first class got a scholarship, went to University of Liverpool. From University of Liverpool, now gotten a scholarship to read a PhD with the hope that I'm returning to Africa to change the world. So if I want to make a pitch of our organization, come. I'm not going to talk about just our vision statement, mission statement. I will position it. We are influencing the world. Let me tell you a story of what we do. There was this young man in 2019 or 2016. I met at a Mission Empowerment Conference in Lusaka. It was a 5-day conference. ABCD. Long story short, we gave him our product. We presented some messages, resonated with him, gave him mentorship for the past 2 years, finished top of his class, went to University of Liverpool, got a scholarship. This is what we talk about. Value. It's a storyline. A storyline to tell you that our company is doing something. We are giving value. People are excelling. So if you want to identify with this product, the storyline is easy to connect with.
Right.
As to saying, our mission statement is, we see an Africa where, no, people connect with story.
Right.
So when you build, so for example, let's take like MTN. Everywhere you go.
Right.
That simple tagline is a story punchline. Just, it's about people.
Okay.
Malcolm, where Ghana shops. It's about people. It's always about stories. So when you don't have a good story, you must learn how to tell a good story. You need to have an eye to which stories are good to link your product with to sell to the rest of the world. Without a story, a brand is an abstract. Every good brand must have a good story. Every good brand must learn how to leverage a story to drive the market force.
Right. Okay, let's talk a bit about the elements. What are the things that tell that this particular brand is a strong one? Yes, what are the elements? What are the key elements to look out for?
Number one, their customer base.
Okay.
They are thinking about the customer. So customer satisfaction. And that involves customer feedback. Number two, they must be consistent.
Okay.
You see, whether you are consistent or not, you are already putting out a brand. It's an image. You must be consistent.
So even your inconsistency.
Yes, it's a message.
It's a brand.
It's a brand. So be consistent. And then the third thing is you must stand for value. What value are you giving? At the end of the day, it ends up on value.
Okay.
If you are not providing value, you are not needed. So number one, the customer experience. Number two, the consistency. And number three, the value proposition. What is the benefit of your existence to the larger audience? If these three are present, then we have a good way to go. You see, the issue about logo, color schemes, and the rest of them.
Because I was going to come to that.
They are appendages.
Okay.
They are good, but they are not the meat. They are the flowers. We have the root issues on which every brand must be rooted in.
Right.
So people are focused on what I call the window dressing. And that is what Nigerians usually call packaging. Too many are doing packaging on the street. Do the real thing. Are you connecting with your clients, your customers? Are you getting the feedback? Are you consistent with them? You want to deliver. You are doing kaftan. We are going for a wedding. We need it 3 days before time. Guy, be consistent. When you do it 30 times, you do it to every client. When you are going to be late, you don't wait for them to call you. You call them ahead of time.
Right.
That is consistency. Now we know you. He will deliver on time. I can bet you. If he will not deliver, he will let you know.
Right.
He will let you know. Two friends of mine are doing some work. They are doing well. One is Ellis Mukasi. They are trying to, and it's a good brand. They are trying to pull together Ghanaian food for busy people. Taste their food. You'll be blown away. Yes, Airy Fairy, the kaftan, decent. They are doing very well. One of my friends called Fidelis is doing such a good work. He does 70% of my work for me. But guess what? He has never disappointed me since I met them. He is always consistent, always on time. That is a brand.
Right. Right. Okay. So now let's get into some practical strategies that businesses can adopt. So what are the first steps a new business should take to establish its brand? What are the first steps?
Number one, know your client.
Okay, so it comes back to that.
My brother, they are simple. Know your audience. Know the niche value you are giving them. Understand their pain area. Scratch where it is itchy for them. Be willing to accept feedback. Be consistent with them. And look for a good story. In every layer of your growth, look for a good story. Don't be fake. Be real. Remember, we started this whole conversation with understanding. Branding is what people say about you when you are not there. Let me tell you a story. We started building our training center, and we are almost getting through with it. There is this group that is aiding us with the building. The leader is called Greenfield. My brother, he's waiting for me downstairs, I believe. We are going to site right from here. For 13 years, this guy has shown commitment with his product. He has never gotten to site before. He is always there. The site is about 10-minute drive away from my residence.
Okay.
He will leave La Paz with his team and be at site. They call them Glonia, the Glonia group. Brilliant. He's not here. But I'm saying it's not because of, it's an experience. I have lived it. The consistency. That is what a brand is about. That is what a brand is about. You may not know the manager or the CEO or CFO of Apple, but you know what they do.
Right.
You may not know the brand manager or the current marketing strategist at Samsung, but people are using them. Even during COVID, people were taking Coca-Cola. Even when they were not to be taking sugar. It's an experience. It's an experience. And this is what we need to learn as a people. Especially, I'm passionate about it because Ghana is the economic hub, headquarters of Africa. The Africa Free Continental Trade Area is here. Every watch seller, every Kosi seller needs to get this. And in the coming days, our team will be getting to the street. We call a group called the Street Economy to impact some of this knowledge. We are doing it on a lower key, but we are picking it this year to the next level. Branding is who you are, not what you pretend to be.
Okay, so apart from audience, know your audience. What other steps must you take as a new business to establish the brand? You want to establish.
If you know your audience, that is going to inform also how consistent you are going to be. Number two, then how do you want to be seen by this audience? How do you want to be located? This is where the logo and stuff comes into place. And the audience must influence the choice of your logo.
Really?
Yes, the audience and the philosophy you want to communicate. So, for example, if you are developing a concept that is Pan-African in nature, you must make sure the element that defines your corporate brand must have a certain Pan-African ethos. Then your color schemes be consistent. Many small businesses today they are using this color, tomorrow they are using that color. No. Just be consistent. Just be firm, and that is informed by your audience and the product you want to sell to them. Branding is not complex. It is simple, but it's the consistency, it's the intentionality that is what drives it. But most importantly, is the experience. You can't paint an experience on a box. You can't paint it. Experience is lived in people's heart.
Right.
That's brand.
I'm learning a lot. I have plans of setting up a fashion brand.
Yes.
And so what you are saying is not just for my audience. I'm also picking my notes. You see me writing a lot of times. Yeah. You want to see something?
After here, you need to see us. We'll give you some tidbits. You may never know.
Right. Sure. I'm very glad.
Because I see you. I see your dressing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I must say, you speak very well. I like how you sound.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I like how you sound. I like how you sound. Anyway, if you just joined this conversation, this is Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM with me, Ni Trebi Hammond. And we're having a conversation this morning with Mr. Godswill TK Mensah. And we're talking about effective brand strategies, branding strategies for your business. So I hope that you're taking some notes. And you'll be able to propel your brand to a better future. You can join a conversation on Instagram, Facebook, and X at ZFMGH, and then on YouTube and TikTok at Z Multimedia. YouTube and TikTok at Z Multimedia. You can also WhatsApp us on 0544321019, 0544321019. Mr. Mensah, how can startups create a memorable brand with a very low budget or limited budget?
Good. Number one, they should research.
Okay.
Do simple research. And when we say research is not just going to University of Ghana or going to Valley University or Ashesi University or going to KNUST to get some scholars no. Do a research. In fact, our mothers also do so. So do basic market research. Okay. Now, the research is going to influence what are the need areas of your clients. When you see the need areas of your client, then you put out a strategy and a plan. And you stick out to the strategy and the plan. Do a research. Identify the need areas of your clients. Put up a plan and a strategy that will respond to that need. Remember, branding is experience. People are missing it with packaging. Packaging alone or marketing alone is not a branding. When you set up a strategy, stick to the strategy and see to its execution. Then whilst you are doing so, you are going to be seeing that there are some basic things you need to retweak in the process of your engagement with your audience. Come back to the table again, retweak it, get back to it. Including even a logo. When we're doing a logo for our organization when we started, we put out 3 options to the public. They voted it. And they gave reasons. It informs us. Let people be part of the whole growing process. Okay. It's not just a group of people who sit in a boardroom. No, if you want your product to have what we call a mass appeal, engage the masses. Involve the audience. Get their feedback. Research about it. Know what they need. Build a strategy and deploy it with social media. look, my brother, everybody is able to communicate. If you have 5,000 people on your profile, personal profile, that's already a whole mass of group of people. Let me give you an example. We have a mango farm. So we deliver mango to some of our clients, and we have some mangoes still left. So I just posted it. Do business with that on Friday. 8 people reach out to me. They need mango juice. I'm just communicating with the audience, with our clients. 8 people just reach out to us. We want you to do mango juice. As we speak today, we are going to deliver to them.
Wow.
The point is this. Just be authentic, but have a plan. Stick to the plan. Be very intentional. People are very haphazard. They are not disciplined. They don't see to through. No. Do the research. Know the pain areas. Have a strategy and a plan. Stick to the plan. Retweak it when you see there is a variation. Get back to the drawing table. It's not too expensive.
Right.
It's not too expensive. With $10, you can reach 2,000 people on Facebook. You target them. Social media has broken the glass ceiling and make branding easier. My only issue is this. It must be real. Don't fake. If it's fake, it's a matter of time. The people will get to know. They'll see through it. And build a story. When you get a good storyline, let the world know of the story. Let your client tell you what this has done for them and tell the rest of the world. It's a matter of time. And you must be patient. Okay. Today, when you post things, people want 10,000 people to. No, build it organically, gradually. Don't be in haste. Build it gradually.
So I want to do all the things you're saying, but I have very limited resources.
Yep.
Should I invest it in the product, or I should invest it in the branding? So when I talk about the branding, I mean, you say that the meat of the matter is the message you're sending out there. And my colors, my logos, all of these things come together to form that particular brand. How do I go about it? My money is not too much.
Yes.
I mean, I have very limited budget.
Exactly. First, the product must be very good. No matter how you market it or brand it, if it is not what it is, they will know. So first, be honest and do a good work with the product.
Okay.
Now, concerning the physical look of the product, that is design, logos, packaging, and the rest of them, they are also very key. But they are not more important than the quality of the brand. If the brand is bad and the packaging is good, it's a matter of time. So, for example, there are people who are doing logos. Look, you can use Canva. With AI now, you can even design or get conceptual design of what you want and give it to a graphic designer to further polish for you. Okay. But there are basic softwares that can help you with color scheme. Canva can help you. Social media you post can help you. Some of the things you can do them yourself and gradually build up. Share them on your status. Share them on pages. Put them in squares. It doesn't need to be super expensive with social media. Gradually, be consistent with it and be patient. It's a matter of time. But when you are competing today with a brand that is 150 years and you want to get there in 5 years, you know, our generation is a microwave generation. It doesn't work that way.
Everything is fast.
Yes.
Fast food.
No, somebody want to drive the car that somebody has worked for 40 years. Take your time. Build your base. When it is organic, people will stay with you for long as far as you keep delivering value. So for those who are new businesses who want to begin, I dare say that with 1,000 Ghana cedi, you can get a good logo and a good set of posters design. In fact, if somebody is new and wants to rebrand, they should reach out to us. We will connect them with the minimum low budget. We will connect with them. Our team will pull out something that will blow their mind away. Very simple. But if you cannot, you want to do it yourself, my brother, aside all what we are saying, get a basic software.
Right.
Develop a seemingly good logo. Maintain a color scheme. Keep posting. Be consistent. If you're posting 3 times a day to announce a product, keep to it. I'm posting Monday, I'm posting Wednesday, I'm posting Friday. Be consistent with it. I'm providing a short video ad on Mondays and Fridays. Be consistent with it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Getting the feedback. Keep doing it. Engaging the audience. But make sure what you are selling is authentic. It's authentic. That is the brand.
Right. It's authentic, and that's a brand. Yeah, this is still Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM with me, Nicho Ebi Hammond. And we're having a conversation, of course, with Mr. Gottwill, TK Mentor. And we're talking about effective branding strategies for new businesses. Yeah. So I think you have spoken extensively, about consistency. How can we achieve that? How can business achieve consistency?
It's a product of discipline. It's a choice. No, it's not prayer. It's not anything. It doesn't come by accident. It's a choice. And we need to remember that, especially Ghanaians, we are building a local brand, but we are thinking a global market. We must not remain local. So if you want to go far, then you need to go deep with a full tank.
Right.
So if you want a product that will just feed you for the next 5 years, you can do it anyhow. But if you want to go the long haul, a lot of thinking must go into it. Begin where you are and just improve. It's not everything you know from the onset. Just start and fine tune. But be consistent. Consistency is a decision. It's a choice. And it shows the respect you have for your audience, your market, and your clients. It's a decision. Do you come every day to work?
Yes.
Why?
I have to be consistent. People are ready to listen.
You can't disrespect them.
Right.
You can't say that a program is your morning show begins at 6 and you are starting at 7. You are going to be consistent. Why? You have respect for the audience.
Yeah.
If we can do that because we work in a certain space, why not other products? It's a decision. Consistency is a decision.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So how should businesses choose visual elements like logo and posters and what have you? How should they do that?
Okay, 2 things and this is not exhaustive from the data and also from personal observations and research. Number 1, remember, we are coming back to the beginning. It's experience. You want to give the people experience. So, for example, our logo is COME with a globe, with a yellow logo coming to Africa, a yellow flame.
Okay.
What we are trying to say is we are inviting the world to come to Africa and pull all the resources of Africa for the good of Africa.
Okay.
So, logo must communicate an intent. So, what do you intend with this product after your market search? Number 2, the audience our audience at come largely, it's basically Africans. They are our immediate. So the logo must reflect the solution you want to put forward. Number 2, the audience must be able to understand and connect with it. And number 3, without saying much, it is attracting insight and concept. It must not be complex. Simplicity is excellence. Simplicity is beauty. Any logo that is complex has a problem. Look at the best brand in the world, Nike. What's their logo? It's just that. Apple, Goyle, very basic logo. So the logo must not be complex. It must be simple. It must communicate value, solution, and it also must resonate with your audience. They need to own it. So you can't be talking about agriculture and the logo concept is demonstrating agro-business in Europe whilst your audience are in Africa. No, that is a dissonant.
What if you want to get there?
Yes, your market primarily are Africans.
Okay, so you connect
So
with
you
them.
connect with that, and they need to see the heritage of the logo. That is why I like the Black Star Square. Nkrumah was communicating a powerful message that people downplay black race, but you can be black, but you can shine and shine like a gold. It's a philosophical statement.
Right.
Powerful. That a lot of thinking must go into a logo, and the simpler the logo, the more powerful it communicates. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go into some of the mistakes that we have to avoid as businesses. What are some of the biggest mistakes new businesses make when it comes to branding?
They just mimic others.
Okay.
There is no authenticity. So mimicking others, what others are doing, there is no authenticity. And by doing so from day one, you are losing your niche space. So be authentic. A brand is not a mimic of another. You must be unique. So you need to ask yourself, what is making me unique? So immediately you are copying just what others are doing. You are losing your relevance, your essence, because you are going to be swallowed. But when you stand unique, then you can easily be identifiable, even if there are many on the show. So that is number one. But even for that to happen, you already know what you are offering. You must know what you are offering. What are you offering the audience? There should be a correlation between your logo and your solution you are providing. There should be a certain philosophical connection. Also, you need to come to the place that the brand is providing a solution that is not just abstract, it's authentic. My brother, branding is experience. Everything must revolve around the experience of your client. Be it where they ought to be or be it where you currently are. It must provide that framework for them. So you are communicating that experience. Don't mimic. Be authentic. Be unique. With this, you are getting somewhere. There are layers in doing branding. A beginner's need doing branding is different from someone who has been at it for 50 years, 30 years, and 40 years. So you need to also know the timing.
Okay.
Yes, the timing. When you're communicating something to Gen Zs, the language is different.
Right.
When you're communicating something to millennials, the language is different. The artwork, the visuals, the language, the colors, the painting, they are different. So your audience define what actually you're going to put out. So you must come to the conclusion. These are my audience.
Okay.
Based on this will be my visual. This will be, even where you put your content or your promos will define exactly who you are targeting. You can't be targeting Gen Zs without going to TikTok. In this age and day.
Right.
Or going to Instagram. No, they are the ones there. So this all informs what you need to do within the value chain. Yep.
Right. I like the points that you're raising. Now, are there any trends in branding that you want to advise businesses to avoid?
Yeah. Don't copy people. Be authentic. Be real. And if your audience are Asians, use Asian flavors. Use Asian concepts. If your audience are in South America, communicate that. Let what resonates with the people, communicate with them. Don't import strange abstract to drive. You explain too much. So use templates that your immediate audience can relate and identify with. I've seen a couple of people putting out logos and concept and stuff, and they are just imported blindly. It ought not to be. And they are African product, and they are dealing completely with Asian mystical logos, and they don't have no clue because it looks nice on social media. There must be a meaning to a brand. It is who you are.
Right.
If it's a business, what this business is or who this business is. So that must be avoided. Don't copy. Be authentic. If you want to learn something from others, contextualize it and own a unique identity. Own a unique identity and be consistent. Be consistent.
Right.
Be consistent.
Okay, I think one of the conversations we're having earlier, I mean, you one of the things you mentioned earlier was social media. How can businesses use social media to strengthen their brand? Say you have a brand already, how can you use social media to strengthen it?
It's a new place where the world is.
Okay.
So everybody, research is saying that people touch their phone, middle class people, about 38 times a day. Minimum. Some do 86 times a day, even those who are working, to check something on their screen. If you combine the aggregate usage of 3 key social media platforms, it's more than the population of the world combined. Some individuals have 3-4 accounts. Right. The world is on social media. So not to be on social media is to say we are not interested in reaching out to the world. It's a given. You must leverage social media, but you don't just go to social media and begin to post. Please use experts, use brand influencers where possible. Yes, use brand influencers, use boosting, boost your messages, boost your art to be able to reach target audience. And don't just boost, do targeted boosting. There are aspects in this. If you're a business person listening to me, use the right people, use the expert. You can't just do it all yourself. It can be in-house. Sometimes sublet it to entities and organizations. Let them pick up your branding for you. And have a KPI and let's see, are we getting the numbers? How you know that your branding on social media is making waves, is rich. It must reflect in your sales. It must reflect in your feedback. It must reflect in your commendation or critique from your constituent. That is how you get to know that this, without, you can't be doing it for 5-8 years without getting any feedback. 8 months. No, there must be a feedback. You will see the growth trajectory and it must be monitored. There is a science behind doing online marketing and the experts are there. We need to connect with them.
We need to connect with the experts and let them do. So many businesses would want to do some of these things by themselves, especially new businesses, startups. They like to do their own posting, handling their own social media and all of that. And so I think it's a very important point that you raised, that you need to go in for the experts. Go for somebody that is in the space, who has the knowledge and the experience to be able to help you do that.
Let me chip in this. Sometimes it may not be expensive budget. Sometimes you leverage relationship.
Okay.
You leverage relationship. You leverage relationship. So you know someone who is very good at it in a certain field. You tell them that I'm struggling here. Can you help my business? Can you help us? We are local businesses trying to get into the market, but we lack this. We know you are good at this. Can your entity just guide us and lead us? It may not be at a huge cost. So leverage relationship where you can fund it to be able to push it and be able to do it.
Wow. So how do businesses measure? I know you've mentioned something like that already, but I want you to go into it a bit more. How do businesses measure the success of their branding? I think what you mentioned, you spoke about social media. I'm sure it applies to the same.
It's basically the same. Success is relative.
Okay.
Some businesses, and it's where the business is. So some businesses just want to have visibility. For 2 years, they just want to be visible. And for them, capacity to be visible is the KPI to show they are successful.
Okay.
They will define their success by that. Some are at a place where they want to scale up. So they want volumes. So last year or the past quinquennium, they are doing 1 million in a month. Okay, the product is going 1 million product. Now they want to do 8 million product.
Okay.
Or 4 million product. So the in-house KPI you set up will determine. So based on the goal, what you want to achieve, will also determine the branding and the marketing strategy you want to deploy. So your personal target and the goal you want to achieve is what will drive it. But for business, it boils down to one thing. There must be sales, and it comes with volumes, and it comes with orders, it comes with customer satisfaction, it comes with feedback. Yes, so when clients are saying, where did they get the brand? Oh, we got it on your social media platform. Or somebody shared it here and we got it. If you are getting such, then you know that the art you are doing is really working. Then word of mouth. Somebody experienced it and the person encourages us to do it. You need to know what the goal is for the period. So for your entity as Zed Digital or Zed Radio or FM, you are a year plus old or barely a year. So your KPIs may be different from another media house that is 11 years in terms of visibility, popularity, and in terms of what they call success for the first quarter of 2025. So every business must know where they are and where they are headed. And depending on these two, they can now say, we were successful, we had failed. If I want to just be visible, I can't compare with somebody who wants a 3 million volume just in a month. So I would say it must be a customized KPI by the businesses and the entities.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. So businesses must set some KPIs.
Good.
Key performance indicators.
Exactly. Yeah.
As and when they are moving on. Now let's go a bit advanced. We have some few minutes to go.
All right.
But how can businesses evolve their brand? You can start in a particular way, but over the period of time, you want to evolve into a bigger brand. How do you do that without losing your identity?
It boils back to two things. Number one, we don't do business just because we want to tickle ourselves.
Okay.
We do business because we want to meet a need. If you watch the conversation, we'll keep coming back to one thing.
Right.
So we want to give a group of people experience. We want to solve a problem. So if you want to evolve, you must make sure you don't lose your solution touch.
Right.
Every layer of evolution that makes me influence my market better, serve them better, is needless. It's luxury. It may be it will not be productive.
Yeah.
So number one, to evolve is to say, these are our core pillars. This is our strength, or these are our strengths. We want to upgrade them without losing the touch we are giving the client. The customers are satisfied in this area. So we want to maintain that. It's very key. Number two, some may not be necessary. Some of the evolving may just not be anything big or anything unique. I give you a typical example. I said Fan Eyes, Ghana. When they wanted to evolve, the research told them people are health conscious. So all they did was to add up a different product that provide value for those who are health conscious. Guinness came up and said, you know what? We are providing alcoholic drink, but there are non-alcoholics who still must interface with our product. So let's come with Malta Guinness. That is an evolving.
Right.
They're evolving.
Yeah.
We produce alcoholic drink. Another group says that we produce local gin, but we want a certain group of the audience who don't consume this to interface with us. So provide water. So the market research must inform the areas you need to evolve in. We don't evolve in branding for evolving sake.
Okay.
It must be data driven. So what the data says is where we'll be linked towards. But in all the evolving we may be doing, or the evolution, we must be providing value and solving a problem. Basically, provide value and keep solving a problem. Give more satisfaction to the audience and give them, maybe if you permit, options.
Right.
Options.
Right.
Options, yeah.
Now, there's something called branding strategy.
Yeah.
What exactly is it? Maybe you can just talk about that briefly.
It's basically an entity's module to deliver what their KPI is.
Okay.
It's a strategy. So an entity's module to deliver their KPI. So in this year, Zed Multimedia or Zed FM say that we want to get 3% or 5% additional of the market share. So based on research, here are our target audience. Here are our market. Here are prospective people. This is their pain area. Here is this. So we are using 8 months to drive a certain traffic towards our content. And in the first month, this is what we do. In the second month, this is what we do. This is what we do. When it is women's issue, we want to tackle women's issue. We want to tackle so it is a brand strategy is an entity's module to deliver their KPIs and build a better identity for themselves. Basically, how they achieve their goal of being the brand that they want people to see that they are is basically a communication or a branding strategy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe there's a business person or a business owner listening to me right now, and they are saying that their business strategy, their branding strategy is not working. What do they do?
They need to review
Okay.
What they have done in the past. It boils down again to research. And when they say research, sometimes it's overused. But research includes the feedback. It includes what others are doing. Who are the market leaders? What are they doing differently? How are they excelling? Who are the customers? What do they consume? If you don't know what your customers want to interface with, what they are consuming, what they are listening to, what they are watching, you cannot execute a good brand strategy. So it is basically research and interplaying with the variables that are influencing both the market and even reviewing what you have done in the past. What was the feedback our clients were giving us? Did we pay attention to them? What is the percentage of our meeting the needs of our customers? Where are our shortfalls? Where are our strengths? What are other giant leaders doing? So if our competitors are growing by 8% per annum, why are we growing by 1.2%? What are they doing differently? All this box together, when it is reviewed, then we can be able to say we are looking at it and we are trying to remodule, to relaunch so that we can get a certain outcome. It must be market research based. Market research based.
Well, this is still Business Breakfast on Z101.9 FM. Time check is exactly 15 minutes past 9. We are in the last 10 minutes of our conversation this morning. And we're talking to Mr. Godswill TK Mensah. And he's sharing with us some very, very good insights when it comes to brand strategies for new businesses. Now, I have just a few questions to ask you before we go. Let's say there's somebody who is listening and saying that, oh, you've been talking about consistency. I have to be consistent. But they've already created an image of inconsistency in the eyes of their customers. How do they change that?
Become consistent. They just should become consistent. Begin to be consistent right now. So, for example, for the past 4 years, we have been inconsistent in delivering our product. We now want to change that narrative. What do? Begin being consistent with a client at a time.
Okay.
Just a client at a time. The problem is we would like quick fixes. It must be, every solution must be at the root base. Take your time. Admit that, okay, we have been inconsistent. It's our weakness. We admit. Then start serving your client intentionally with the virtue of consistency. Don't talk too much. Don't go and promise anything. Listen, let your actions speak.
All right.
Yes. And then the result will cancel the insult you have built for yourself over the period. Yeah.
I see. Okay, maybe finally, are there some brands or some businesses that have done some effective, that you can highlight as having very good brands, or maybe they've rebranded and they are very good? There's some you can mention, because I know people are listening and they might want to go and check on some company and see what they are doing, and then try to learn something from them. Not mimic, but learn from them.
Good.
Maybe you can mention a few of them.
Number one, you need to find out how come we started from space phone. We came to Ariba, and we move, we are at MTN. And other competitors come to the market, but they are still market shareholders. We need to study about it. What are they doing differently? There are many malls in Ghana and places where they sell. People may not like it, and I'm not endorsing any brand because of anything, but you need to find out, why is Melcom such a little common name? They may be doing something very great. You need to look at that. You need to find out, even within the state entities, okay, I will not mention this. I'll reduce myself to this too. I don't want to get into you need to find out. You need to find out. Another thing you need to find out is there a brand that was completely battered, reduced, bashed, abused, and they got a bad image? And you recall some years ago, a Melcom building collapsed.
Right.
You recall?
Yeah.
Many people have forgotten. That is a good branding. That must be solid. That was a heavy thing on Melcom.
Yeah, I remember.
How did they recover? That must be serious. So I will use these two to make the point. Why are people aggravating towards them? Do you know that when you want to talk about bottled water, some years ago, do you know what people even call it? I don't want to mention some brand, but they have a name they call it.
Right.
There must be a reason. There must be a reason. So it's because they are able to sway the audience, meet a certain need, to the point that if you talk about this service, there is a certain brand that is associated with it. For example, if you want to eat in Accra, you are a middle-aged person, and you want to eat in a decent space, or even in your community, whether you are at Hacho, or you are living at Taifa, or you are living at Ohibi, a certain food joint will come to mind. That is because of their brand. But I will leave you with MTN, and I will leave you with Melcom.
Okay.
I will leave you with MTN and Melcom.
Right. So why did they succeed? And that's my...
The summation of all what we studied today. Okay. Number one, they had an identity that they built so solidly over the period by meeting needs of their client, by serving their customers, by understanding their needs, and building a unique personality that is resonating with the customers, that they are loyal to them. Basically, that is the reason. People are loyal to MTN. They are loyal to their brand. Reason is basic. They have been able to profile a certain unique or niche need, and the people are resonating with it, and they are awarding or rewarding them with loyalty. So people trust them. The reason why people stick with the brand, they trust the brand. If they don't trust the brand, they move.
If you don't trust the brand, they move. And so branding is very, very, very important that we must pay attention to. Maybe my last question will be, if you could give one golden rule for branding, for building an effective brand, what would it be?
Give people experience.
Okay.
It's a condition precedent to all the flowery logo staff. Let them have an experience. A brand without an experience is a facade. It will collapse.
Repeat that. A brand without
an experience is a facade. It will collapse.
It's been a very, very, very good conversation this morning here. And I just want to say thank you to you.
I like the way you anchor your program.
Thank you.
Yes. That's a promising one. Keep it up.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. Any final thoughts?
Final thought is that Ghana is the headquarters of African Continental Free Trade Area. We are the headquarters of the trade in Africa. Ghanaians must exude confidence. They must understand the intricacies of branding, and they need to own it. And don't be ashamed. Please stick your neck out and first build an experience with your customers before all the flowery things we do. Let people have an experience, and they will remember you, and they will trust you, and they'll be loyal to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Godswill TK Mensah.
That's my name.
It's been a very great conversation. I don't tell you to just say, we have a minute. Maybe what has come?
Good. It's a center for outreach, mentorship, and empowerment.
Okay.
If you're looking for a group or an entity that add value to the human life, that is where we are. We mentor young boys, we mentor young girls, we mentor businesses, we mentor professionals. Like you, for example. When you enroll in our mentorship program, my brother will be a pro.
Is it free?
No, it's at a cost.
Okay. How can we reach you?
Plus 0243
okay.
450 639. 0243 450 639.
639.
Great.
Okay. I guess you're on social media as
we
well.
Are.
Once we
maybe
you can mention your social media.
Yes, Godswill TK Mensah.
Okay,
Godswill TK Mensah. Yeah.
Instagram.
Yes.
All the social media platforms.
Godswill TK Mensah.
All right. Thank you so much for coming.
It's my pleasure.
I'm grateful that
it's my pleasure.
We'll have some conversations behind the.
Thank you so much.
Behind the scenes. We are grateful.
All right.
So it's exactly 58 minutes past 9, and we have just 2 minutes to go off. But that's where we wrap up today's edition of the Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM. It's been such a pleasure being with you since 6:15 a.m. until now, and I hope our conversation on branding has given you some fresh ideas and practical tools to take your personal or business brand to the next level. Thank you very much for staying tuned and making me Raphael Nitrebi Hammond and Z101.9 FM a part of your morning. Let's do this again tomorrow, same time, same station. Until then, as usual, keep working on your goals, stay inspired, and remember, your brand is your story. Make it a good one. Have a fantastic day ahead, and keep it logged right here on Z101.9 FM, your home for business, breakfast, and leisure. Take care. Up next is The Brighter Side with NY The Brand.